studio, and we welcome to the program now Kelly Bennett, Multimedia Journalist.
Morning, guys. Or afternoon.
All right,
afternoon
Kelly.
Now, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We are there. So it was a bit chilly this morning. It was kind of mild here in central Mississippi yesterday, but I noticed it got a bit cooler overnight. Some showers moved through the area. Really cold up in North Mississippi. What's the latest?
In North Mississippi, I think it's pretty much north of the I-20 line. Drivers are really being told, unless it's an emergency, stay off the roads. And I hate to be the bearer of bad news, Gerard, but we're about to get hit with another cold blast of air. That's going to move in tonight, basically through Sunday morning. So sounds like, I guess if another cold air blast is going to hit, it's best for it to happen on the weekend when people can stay off the roads, hunker down inside, get nice and warm. This, of course, has created a nightmare for a lot of water systems. And I know you're hearing a lot about Jackson Water, where they're investigating false media reports that said that the water system was going to shut down. I believe that happened Wednesday night. So what happened? People start seeing this on social media and they start filling their bathtubs. The system couldn't handle it. It resulted in a loss of water or low water pressure in a lot. I think it's about 1,000 customers that are being affected by that in Jackson right now. 12,000 are under a boil water advisory as a result. And Jackson Water is working with officials to try to figure out the source of that misinformation. So I don't know if they're going to prosecute or what their plans are, but you know, we can talk a lot about Jackson Water because we know their history, and of course that's been a big national story. But the water situation is definitely not just happening in Jackson. In Macomb, they're under a boil water notice due to the frigid air and what the temperatures have done to their system. Residents in Meshulaville, under the Meshulaville Water Association in Noxubee County, are also under a boil water advisory. So it's happening everywhere around the state, not just in Jackson. And in South Mississippi, where you've got a lot of elevated homes, plumbers have been super busy. And they've been fixing a lot of water leaks down here. I happen to be on the Mississippi Gulf Coast. And, you know, that's the number one insurance claim for homeowners is burst pipes.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
So I guess because they're above ground, they don't have the protections from the cold as they would if they're below ground to kind of keep them from busting, and that water gets frozen, expands, and there go the pipes.
Yeah, but it also happens in attics. It happens, you know, in outside room. I mean, it's a common occurrence for a homeowner. I think anybody that owns a home knows that that's a danger. So they've gone out to insulate their pipes. But I tell you what, before this cold air hits again this weekend, go check and make sure if you think you're insulated that you really are, just to be safe.
Yeah, good point. I've had the water heater in the attic burst incident, you know, before at my house. And that, I don't think that was related to it being cold, but just to your point about plumbing accidents at the house, you know, being the most common claim on insurance. I get it. All right, let's talk about this this big EV battery factory announcement in Marshall County, North Mississippi. We've been discussing it all morning. What do you got for us?
Well, I thought it was really interesting this morning. So Gallo had William Cork, the executive director of the Mississippi Development Authority, on this morning. And, you know, of course, this facility in Marshall County, you're talking about 2,000 jobs, an annual salary of about $66,000. That's going to move the needle for a lot of employees in Mississippi. I'd imagine they'll be lining up to get these jobs. And of course, then the conversation gets into workforce development. Are we going to have the people to work there and that kind of thing? But I thought this was really interesting from William Cork, who said these type of projects don't happen without great leadership in local communities. Listen to what he said.
We have closed over $8.8 billion in capital investment and over 15,700 jobs since Tate Reeves was elected governor. The average in the previous, 10 years or so before he took office was about $900 million a year. we were getting a major economic impact project once about every 8 or 10 years. We've just done 2 in the last, year and a half.
And he mentioned that the timeline for these types of projects is moving up. They're happening a lot quicker. He also said they have $60 billion in capital investment, 35,000 jobs, and 145 projects in the pipeline right now.
We just announced Clark Beverage, $100 million investment for that. Got the Amazon distribution center a couple of years ago. I know that every one of our mega sites, Paul, in the state, and Madison County is a mega site, has at least 4 projects in competition.
4 projects at these mega sites each. I mean, that's great news for Mississippi. And I know there are a lot of rumblings right now. I know you know more details than you're allowed to talk about the future and another big economic development project that's coming to the state. I thought it was interesting, too. There's been some debate, let's call it debate, I'll use that term, about why isn't the Delta getting a big project? And Court said this morning, the Delta needs a lot of investment. He said it's up to the local guys to set these sites up, and then the MDA comes in and helps them get a deal with these big companies that create these great jobs. And he talked about the fact that the Port of Vicksburg is already at capacity, but they just went in, the mayor worked with local entities to purchase 2,000 acres for future development. So it's really up to local people to just constantly keep an eye on the future, get these sites ready for development, and then the MDA can swoop in with these kind of projects, which are great news for these communities.
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate that color and appreciate you sharing those tapes with us. What about the name change up at the Mississippi University for Women? It was on and now it looks like it's off. What's going on there?
Well, apparently people didn't like what they had picked, which was going to be Brightwell University. I thought it was interesting. The university was founded in 1884 as the first public college for women in the U.S., but they've actually been admitting men since 1982. So you can't blame them for wanting a name change to, more appropriately reflect what they actually are. The university president, Norm Miller, told us earlier this week that they didn't want to use regional or geographical names or surnames, and people didn't like the Brightwell pick.
Where we made a mistake, and I'll admit that, we said that, for over 100 years, RW was for women. And we didn't want to just grasp at W names to satisfy that. So we have heard the pushback on that.
So the deadline for legislation to be introduced is coming up February 13th. So they're planning to come up with a new name by then with a lot more feedback. And while we're on the topic of education, I didn't give you a heads up on this, Gerard, so I apologize.
Sure. No
but
problem.
Some great news for Mississippi. This came out just yesterday. We've achieved record high graduation rates at the high school level with dropouts on the decline. The state experienced an 89.4% graduation rate for the 2022 to 23 school year. That's an all-time record, while dropout numbers decreased to 8.5%, surpassing the feat that was accomplished in the 2021 to 22 school year. The graduation rate, more good news, also exceeds the latest U.S. rate of 86.5% from 2019 to 2020. That's been reported by the National Center for Education Statistics. So you talk about this great news about this facility coming to Marshall County, 2,000 jobs. You need high school graduates. You need skilled people for these kind of jobs. And when you hear that less Mississippians are dropping out of high school, that's just great news all around.
Yeah. Lots of positive news across the state of Mississippi this week. What about in the entertainment world? What's going on with Chapel Hart?
Oh, man, do you love this trio or what? These girls are so great. So Chapel Hart has returned to the America's Got Talent stage Monday nights as part of this brand new series, AGT Fantasy League. And the girls from Poplarville will be on the show. It comes up Monday night on NBC if you want to cheer for the local guys.
Sounds great. Great ambassadors are Chapel Hart for the state of Mississippi. Appreciate you joining us at all. As always, Kelly, we'll talk to you again soon. Thanks a lot.
Thanks a lot, guys. Have a great weekend.
We're coming right back with half an hour of middays. Stay with us.